All right, guys, so this is going to be a lesson on how to do a paper on ratios and proportions, and we're going to do the digital version. So this one is dealing with apples per dollar. So let's look at what the verbal written part is here. It says the grocery store is selling 3 apples per dollar. How many apples can a person buy with $10? So the thing that sticks out to me as a clue, so the clues are 3 apples per, and that's usually the line you use when you're talking about per dollar. And then total that we're wanting to buy, we don't know. So we don't know how many apples are going to cost $10. So we have essentially this line is the fraction line, right? So we basically have 3 apples over $1 and something over $10. Well, if we take that information and we go over here to the diagram or the tape diagram that's written, the table, you see that they do have already 3 apples, number of apples, and $1. And what they've done is they've put $10 over here. And so we have to figure out how to do this and do this line with all equivalent ratios going across. So the first one is this unit rate right here of for every 3 apples, we're going to pay $1. So my mind goes to, let me grab this by copying it and pasting it, and then I'm going to pick it up and drag it over here. And I'm going to delete it because really I just wanted a text box. And I'm going to do 3 times, and I'm going to go, so I can tell that every 1 apple or every 3 apples is $1. So then how do I get to 6 apples? Well, I multiplied it by 2 to get to 6. So that tells me that there's a way to get to the next level. So, all right, so for every 6 apples, it'll cost $2. Well, then how do I get 9 and 3? Well, that tells me that I take my 3, click, hello, 3 times 3, and that's where they got 9 apples. So 3 times 3 is 9 apples. And then I guess I could just keep going with 3 times 4, even though there's no 4 there, would equal 12. And then, yep, you guessed it, 3 times 5, that's going to equal 15. And I am just going to keep on going since I am on a roll. There's 18. Now, I can actually take some time, create me a little text box, just draw a box in the box and type, let's see, well, let's start with the bottom box because that's easy. That's 4, okay? And then for every $4, it's going to cost, or I can get, let me go ahead and grab that and copy it and then paste it since I made it perfect. And I'll just drag it up there and I'll say 12. Uh-oh, it's splitting. So let's make the box a little bigger so the 12 can fit and then move over. Okay, so we know this one is going to be a 5. So 5. And then this one is going to be 15 because we already figured that out. And then this one, let's see, copy and paste it, drag it, it's going to be a 6. And this one, copy and paste it, is going to be 18. And we can just keep on going. So let's copy and paste this, move it over just a little bit and shrink it. And that way I can delete everything. I'm going to just delete everything up to that. So 3 times 6 was the last thing I did. So 3 times 7, that's going to equal 21. 3 times 8, 24. Good guess. 3 times 9. I can't hear you. What is it again? Yeah, 27. Good job. And then we have the infamous 3 times 10, which we know is what we're looking for because we're looking for, okay, so for every 3 apples and $10, how much are we going to be able to buy? 30. You got it. So now it's just a matter of taking the time to put all of these. Okay, so I can just continue to copy and paste by holding the command button down and clicking C to copy, and then holding command or control and clicking V. And then I move it over and type. So now I'm on 21, see, under 7. And I'm just going to keep filling it in. Let's see, this one would be 7. And then another, clicking off and then hitting paste, Control V. And then I have 24. And then Control V. Oh, hello. Get out of a box when you do it. Control V. And this one is 8. Move it over. I don't like what it looks like. The 7's not over. I'm a little bit. All right. Paste. This one is going to be 27. And this one, paste again, is 9. And then the final answer, which is what we've been looking for this whole time. How many apples can we get for $10? And the answer is 30. I almost want to highlight it, go up here to the color, and make it red and bold, just so I can see that 30 is the number that they were actually trying to get us to find in this word problem. So I've got all my multiplication facts right here. I've got my entire table filled in. Now we got to look at the graph. So how do we start the graph? Well, these essentially become coordinates on the graph. And we have a y-axis, and we have the x-axis, and we have our origin right here, if you remember from 5th grade. And so we're going to plot these. So, of course, we cannot count by ones here. We have to count by a different number. So otherwise, we're not going to make it to 30, are we? So we're going to make a text box. And I'm pretty sure the text is going to be a little bit too big. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit too big, maybe. Yeah. Actually, I think it worked just fine. So let's see if I can go over and do 6, over a couple times and do 9. So these are all the numbers that we counted by. Let me move that 12 over. 15. And what was next? 18. And then we had 21 and 24, 27. Oh, it's going to the next line. We need to go ahead and make it longer. And then the very last one was 30. So let me make this, I'm going to shrink this a little bit. So you go up here and you go to the little shrinking tool, and it looked like 13 worked. Unlucky 13. Everything kind of lined up. All right, now we have to worry about the ones going upward. So we already did all of these. The number of apples down here, number of apples, and now we have to do the prices. So this is going to be a little bit more tricky. So we're counting by ones. I'm thinking I could probably go down, but I'm going to have to be much smaller. So let's do 10. What happened there? All right, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And there's not enough room unless I slide it around here. So let's keep moving it until it just gets right. We got to make sure that 10 is towards the top of the line, 9, 8, 7. It's kind of the best I'm going to get it, I think. Okay. It's not perfect, but Ms. B gets the gist. Okay. So good enough. Okay, because this is the digital version. We can't be perfect. If you want, you can center it. Go up here and click center and then move it around. Use your arrow keys and on the keyboard, and you can actually move things a lot easier than grabbing them and moving them. So anyway, you got the dollar bills here, and you have the amount of apples here. All right, so now that we have our number of apples and our dollar bills in place, now we just need a little dot. So I'm going to go up here to shapes, and I'm going to pick a circle. I'm thinking maybe this one. and make myself a little dot. And I'm going to color it in, get the paint can. I'm going to color it in blue. Why not? And I'm going to grab it. And I have to plot that there, for every 3 apples, $1. So I'm going to drop it right there. Now, why did I choose to go across the x-axis? Because you have to remember to run, and then jump. And I'm going to copy my dot. So I'm going to hold the Command or Control down. I'm going to click C as in cat. And then I'm going to click off of my dot. I'm going to hold the Command or Control. And I'm going to click V as in vase. And I get another dot. I'm going to grab it. And this time I have to do, for every 6 apples, it cost $2. And drop it. So when I'm finished, I'm going to have, and I'm going to use my arrow keys and copy and paste. Let's move my arrow keys around every time. It's not getting perfect. So for 15 apples, I'm going to pay $5. And for 18 apples, run and jump, it's going to cost me $6. For 21 apples, it's going to cost me $7. For 24 apples, I would pay $8. And for 27 apples, I would pay $9. And finally, if I'm going to spend $10, I should get 30 apples for $10. And I'm going to change that dot to red because I feel like that is my final answer. Okay? So, plotting on a graph. So it's important to remember that when you're plotting on the graph that you have to run, that means go across the x-axis before you jump, and that means go up the y-axis. So run over to the first number and up to the second one. So now that you've plotted your graph, let's go up here and get a line and draw a straight line through our graph showing the direction the graph is going. Okay, or the slope. It's also known as the slope. Okay, so the last thing to do is to solve the algebraic box. And that's where we make an equation because there's an equal sign that describes what this whole paper is about. So if you take a look at apples to price, we started out knowing that for every 3 apples, you would pay $1. So I'm going to go over here and get my text box. And I'm going to make a text box right down here where apples are. I'm going to say 3 apples. And for every 3 apples, another text box, it's going to cost the price, $1. Didn't make my box big enough. Okay, so for every 3 apples, it's going to cost $1. But then we were asked, how much then will it cost, or how many apples can we get for $10? And we figured out, copy and paste, that for every $10, we could get a whopping 30 apples. Okay, so let's make a final statement here about our answer. And the answer should be the number of apples is 30. Okay. So we are finished with our entire paper. You will be getting a paper similar to this. It will have a different concept in the center, but it'll have a very similar way to approach it. So you're going to read the information. You're going to pull out the clues. You're going to use that information to fill out your table to make equivalent ratios all the way across, or equivalent fractions. You can do this on a separate piece of paper or type it right here. I would like you to use dots on this graph, paying attention to run before you jump. And then over here, I would like you to make me a final equation to show your unit cost or unit rate right here and whatever the final answer might be right here, and then make a final statement. Okay? So good luck and later.